Welcome to the fastest daf in town. Today on Masechtas Bava Metzia daf Samach Vav. We're going to begin on the bottom of Samach Ham and base 4 lines to the bottom. Ahu Gavra. There was a person, Dezavan Le'ar L'Chavre, sold land to his friend, Shlo B'Achrayas, without any Achrayas. So, therefore, normally when it's sold B'Achrayas, which means if someone would take the land, so then the Meicher would have to reimburse. He saw that the buyer was upset because again it was done without achrayas, so he was upset. So why upset? If they grab it from you, you'll be able to be paid back the shufra, which is the best land, the shevach, and the produce. Says Rashi, Me'edis shenichasai nefarlocha. I'll pay you back the best. Afas shvach sheshpiach. Any improvements, v'perish yitrafu mimcha, or any fruits that were taken from you. So don't worry. So Omar Meimar, on this, Meimar says as we continue to Samach Vav and Aleph, Pitume Mili be'almahu. Those are considered to be just words, says Rashi. Ein il el diri tanchumin be'am lafatim eslibo. He just said it to make him feel better, but the truth is, it doesn't mean when push comes to shove that he's actually going to be mechuyev to have to give him this. Omali Rabashu la meimar taimamai. So what is the whole reason for this? Kivan deloikeach boy lasnuye. Since the buyer wishes to make a condition. Over here, that's the seller that's speaking up and saying, don't worry. Amrit Petumi Mili Be'almahu. It must be the fact that it was the Moicher that said this. It's just Petumi Be'alma, it's just words. However, our Mishnah says, that says that when you have the money, I'll return it to you. That's allowed. The moichahu de boyelas nuye moichelo astim lokeach komasni. Over here, it's the buyer who makes the condition. We said ma'ishno reish ma'ishno sefer. V'yomarava saved yermolim medaite. It was because it was with consent, with his knowledge. Time yermolim medaite. Hello medaite loy lo. Because I'm reading Petumi Mili Be'almahu. Armulei Nasa Kamandi Armulei Medaiti Itmar. So we say it's Ki'u like it was with his das. Says Rashi. Armulei Hadarava Nasa Ka'imr Medaiti Itmar. Hachim Arava El Maishna Rishna Maishna Seifa. Amarava Seifa Givandabili Moyecher Asnuye. The seller need to make the condition Vulasni. He didn't do it. Lokech Karmulei Menavshi Nasa Ka'imrulei. It's like he was saying it to himself. Then it will be returned to you. If you want, Gav the little parish medaite command the pirish dami. Even though it wasn't really explained, it was with his consent. It's key like it was. Okay, vayt. There's a story of a person who was dying. The kosav gita with the besu. And he wrote a get to his wife. Why? Says Rashi, because if he dies, apparently they were childless, then she would have to marry his brother. So therefore, by having this get before his death, if he dies, so therefore she won't end up having to get be sochak to the brother through Yibum. So Ingid, they groaned. V'itnach, and sighed. So Amalei Amaika mit nachas. Why are you sighing? What's wrong? So kaimis didachana. If I stay alive, basically, I am with you. So then, what are you so worried about? This is only a condition, right? If only in the event that you die. So Ram Zvid Petsumi Mili Be'alma. Who the truth is, when this was said, it's just considered to be words, which means really this is a get right now. Ein amir Zeus says Rashi Kabbal's Tanai. This is not that she's accepting the condition of what was said. Ella lenachamai, just to console. The imtirza tinasi lacher. Therefore now she's considered to be divorced and she can marry someone else. Okay. Amru Ravacha Medifta Ravina V'ila Patumi Mili Mai. So if you want to tell me we're not talking about that it's words, the Mai says, what does it mean? V'avim Amra V'emes Kamashvu Gemura Mai. What if it's not just words? So B'dida Kaima, so it's up to the woman. L'mishte Taina Begita, to be able to say there was a condition. B'didei Kaima L'mishte Taina. So regarding the husband, he should also be able to withhold this condition. Sumada Tema Hu Gufe Adaita Dida Kalgamer. You would think that he was doing this with her consent. The Yoiv Gita is giving her a get, Kamash Mulan. Okay. Weiter. So now the Mishnah said, Hilavoya al Sadehu. So the Mishnah said, let's just remind ourselves on Samachem and Beis, the Mishnah told us, let's say you lent someone with a field, and you said, if you give, if you pay me the loan back in 3 years, good, but if you don't, then Harhi Shali, then this is mine. So Harhi Shalai, so he gets to keep the field. And the chiddush is that even if, let's say, the field is more than the amount of the loan, for some reason this would also work. So Amarav, so Hilval Sadeh, so Amarav Huna B'shas Ma'an Mais Kan HaKoil. When do we say that he gets the entire field? It's only B'shas Ma'an Mais. If the stipulation was made at the time of the loan, then the entire property is acquired by the lender, even again, as we said, even if it's more than the loan. So even though maybe there's an issue of a smachta, but over here we say it's not a smachta because it was done b'shas matan mois. Says Rashi, hisnal menaskin kaina hakoil. V'imo achar matan mois is the ein b'davar klum. However, as the Gemara continues, l'achar matan mois, if the stipulation was made only after the time of the loan, lo kana el kenegim oisav. So therefore, he could get the land, but only keneged the amount of how much the loan was. He can't get more of the land than that which was the amount of the land, of the loan. Rav Nachman and Rafil Achar Matan Mois Kanar Koil. No. Rav Nachman, he says that even after Matan Mois, even if the stipulation was made later, not at the time of the loan, still he holds the entire property is acquired by the lender. Even though, again, the loan is less than the land. So Ovid Rav Nachman Uvda Gabi Reish Galusa. So Rav Nachman actually paskind in accordance to what he just said in the presence of the Reish Galusa, that even if the stipulation was made later, the din still applies and he can keep the land kishmaisa like he holds. So Kari Rav Yehuda Lushtari. Rav Yehuda ripped up the shtar. In other words, as though to say that the land does not go to the lender. So Amalei Reish Galusa, Rav Yehuda Kari Lushtarach. Understand? He said Rav Yehuda ripped up your shtar. So obviously Rabbi Yehuda disagrees with this whole premise that this lender can keep the land. So Amalei, so he said, Dardika Kari Gava Rabba Kari Chazabe Taima Vikare. So he says that, okay, if you had his bitmia, the Chilo Adam Gadolhu Lo Karbalo Tam, well, you think this is a child that ripped up this document? He's a great person. Obviously, he saw a reason, and that's the reason why he ripped it, right? Obviously, the fact that he tore this shtar is because he felt that, in fact, the din should not necessarily be that the lender keeps it. So, there was a young person that ripped it, to Kol Yalmo Gabididi Badina Dardikininu. Compared to everyone, to me, they're all like children. In other words, their knowledge in dinim is significantly lower than mine, and therefore he was actually saying there was someone who's smaller than me, and they should not have done such a thing. So that's what Rav Nachman said. And then Hadar Rav Nachman, he retracted, and he said, "Afil b'shas matan mois lo yikana b'lo klum." Pulfikert. Not only after matan mois does the lender not keep it, but he says that even b'shas matan mois, not only are you not koine at least connected the loan, you're not koine anything. So Esvei Ravel Rav Nachman. Now the Rav Nachman retracted and said that the lender doesn't get the land at all. So the problem is, it seems to be quite against our Mishnah. Imiata, so he asked the kasha, Im iyata noisel mikan v'ad shalosh shanim. If you don't give me back the loan within 3 years, hari shali, it'll be mine. So hari shalo. We see that he keeps it. So l'chayra, our Mishnah seems to support not like you, Rab Nachman, that the lender does get to keep it. So ani omer smachta kanya, I hold a smachta as kaina. Umin yoimi omar a smachta lo kanya. Umin yoini kashmas disin. So, in other words, ask him, not me. Because according to Min Yomi, he holds a smachta is not kaina. And therefore, smachta is not kaina, so then he has a problem with our Mishnah that the lender can keep it. Because if you hold a smachta kaina, so then the lender should be able to keep it. So you should really ask a kasha on him, because he's the one who holds the smachta is not kaina. Iboy sema masdisin Rav Yosi. Actually, our Mishnah is like Rav Yosi. Diarma smachta kanya. Like our Mishnah, who says that this works, that the lender gets to keep it, is only in according to the shita the smachta is kaina. So we continue samach b'ma mebeis. Iboy sema diarmale kanim yachshav. Or the reason why it works in our Mishnah is because he said that I'll be kainit from now. Says Rashi, delava smachtahi el kinyan gomer. This is not considered to be like some partial type of deal, but rather this is considered to be an actual kinyan, the fact that he used the language of akshav. Question 9. Hilvoli said they Yermil b'shasma anois at the time of the loan. Imata noisin li mikan v'ad shnei 3 years hari shali matam demand yermer deloy kaina. So why does someone say it's not kaina? Because the smachta is not kaina. Because again, if it wasn't the amount of the loan, so then the fact that he said it's not real. It's a smachta, and therefore because of that, we say that it's not a kinyan. Now, why would you say ve'ech matartz kishitasai hadana hari shalo? How does he understand if a smachta is not kaina? How does he understand the Mishnah? So it's because the Yermalei kanim yachshav. Again, he said from now. So if we look in Rashi again, im loy etin l'cha, if you don't give it to me ad shon shanim, delav asmachtahi. It's not an asmachta. Elokinin gomerhi. She'al minas mecher gomer hichsik ba miachshav badamim halolu. It was based on that stipulation that it should work now. The azul oizel gabe, and it will, the price fluctuation will go in his hands. If you do give it back, I'll accept it. But Paris, and the buyer gets to eat the fruits. And according to the Rabbanan, we say that those fruits are held by a third party. Armale mar Yanuka or mar Kashisha b'nei de Rav Chista. So they said Rav Ashi. Hachi Amri min Ardoi. This is what was said in Ardoi. Mishmei Rav Nachman. Hayas smachta. When it comes to a smachta, bezimnei kani below zimnei loy kani. If it's in its time, then it's kaina. Now Rashi says, what does that mean? Kasachadaita chagiyazman. The time reached. Lo naslo mo'isav, and you didn't pay back your loan. So in that situation, you would get the land. However, below zimne, which we're thinking means before the loan, that loan, the time of the loan hasn't arrived, then lo kanya. You can only be potentially kaina the land if the time elapses and the person didn't pay back. Amalei, what do you mean? Kol midi bezimne kani below zimne lo kani. It doesn't make any sense. Obviously, it should only be chal at the time when the loan is due. But before, of course, you shouldn't be able to be kaina because the guy can always pay. So what does that mean? So dilma hachi kamritu. Maybe this is what was being said. Ashke begoy zimne. If, let's say, you found him within the time frame of the loan, yermalei kani, and you say be kaina the land, kani, then it'll work. Baser zimni, but if you encounter him after the loan was due, yermalei kani lo kani. My timer. Machmes kisufahu de karmelei. Maybe the only reason why he said it was because he was embarrassed, because he may not have had the money. Velohi, it's not true. Tafil begoy zimni, even if it was said, even he said it before the payment was due, nonetheless, Nami lo kani, it still won't work. V'hadi karmele kani, the one we said it was kind of kasaver kimata zimni lo lacy litradan. He felt that once the time reaches, he didn't want to have to be tired. He didn't have to be troubling himself regarding this. So it says Rashi, "V'lidche ba'alma mishum kisufa," and therefore he just pushed him off because he was embarrassed. Amra Papa, Haya smachta. When it comes to an smachta, zimnin kani v'zimnin loy kani, as we said. Ashche de kashasi shechor kani. If on the day it's due, you see the guy's pounding beer, so the debtor is obviously not quite concerned, and therefore he's kinda the land. To come hapich azuzi, if he sees her running around to try to get money, then lo kani, because it's clear that he doesn't want you to take the land. Amli Ravacha Meditu Ravina Dilma Lafuche Pachte Kashasi. Maybe the reason why he's drinking the beer is not because he's relaxed. Plumfakert. Maybe he's drinking it because he's filled with anxiety and worry that he doesn't have any money. But therefore, maybe that doesn't prove anything. Inami inish achrina asmeche azuze. It's not that he should be able to take his land. Plumfakert. Maybe he's just relaxed because he thinks that someone else is going to be able to pay off this debt. Elo Ravina ikopid b'demei vadikadi. If you see he's makbid with money, says Rashi, makbid b'mechiras chafotzav. If he's very makbid about anyone selling his objects, shol livchais mishavya, anything less than its actual value, then vadikani, says Rashi, eno chash im tishka sedehu. In that case, we're not afraid. Okay. Amrule Ravacha Medivna Ravina Dilma Sabar Kihechi Dlo Titzil Are. Maybe he doesn't want the land to be devalued. Elmer Papa Ikapid Ba'ara. If he's makbid regarding to land, says Rashi, Shul Yimcher Shum Karkafil Bishavya, we never find him ever selling land. So Vadikani. In that case, it is a kinyan. Yomra Papa Afal Gav de Amar Rabbana Smachto Kanye, even though Smachta doesn't work typically, Aputiki Havi, if there is a commitment, this land is considered to be a commitment, Lamigva Mina, to collect from. In other words, the land is like a committed collateral. Amar Rav Huna Rav Nasin Rav Papa Mi Karmele Kani Luguvaina. Did he actually stipulate that he should be kind of for collection purposes? But if the Taka did say that this land is for collection purposes, then kani. So again, if you hold to the smachta, it should still not work. What is that referring to? The person says, you will not collect my loan except from this item, from this thing. And therefore, says Rashi, even within the 3 years, that's the din. There's a person who sold his land to his friend with achrayas. Armalei said like this: if someone takes the land from me, magvisli me'edia idius, I'm going to give you the best of my lands. Because after all, it was sold by achrayas. You actually don't collect from the best. Because you need for it to be in front of him. Rather, you can collect from other idiots. So they ended up taking away this land. Also, bidka. Also, all of a sudden came a tidal wave. Shakal idiotis, and it basically carried and destroyed the best. Samra papala meimar meidis amule v'ha kaim abha kaima amule. It has to be around, and it's destroyed. Amule ravacha mediftu ravina v'leimule. You should say ki amrilacha na magvinalach dahavi idiotis kaima. That when he had the best, hash de kaima le idios. Now he has idios, but makim idios. So therefore, he can give him a lower field. Rav bar shabash havi masik be Rav Kahana zuzi. So Rav bar Shaba owed Rav Kahana some money. If I don't pay you, gabi mahai chamra then you can collect from my wine. When do we say that again a smachta doesn't work and if you can't collect from the wine? That means that's only by land. The lavuzvuni kaimu, because a person typically doesn't sell land. When it comes to wine and other movable items, kivam de lizvuni koi kazuzi dami. Since it's sold, it's like money, and therefore we do say that it works. We said that kol di'i lokani, any commitment for additional payment depending on a possible outcome is considered to be the smachta and therefore is not effective. So Rav Nachman Hashnem Rabban smachta lokanya. Now that the smachta doesn't work, Hadar Ari has to give back the land and Vahadri Peri, and any produce that he ate, he also has to give back. It sounds like a mechil by mistake doesn't work. If a person sold a date palm tree to his friend, before it came into this world, you can retract. However, once it's here, in Yachalasabo. Rav Nachman, even once it's here, Yachalasabo, you can still retract. Rav Nachman, Modina, you can admit the ish shamad v'achal. If the buyer ate it, lo mafkinamine, then we will not take it. So what he's talking about there is return back the fruits. So asam zvini hacha halva, as we mentioned many times, that when it comes to the case of a business transaction, it doesn't have the same element of the view of ribis. However, when it comes to halva, so it actually says umexi karibis, it looks like ribis, and therefore the din is that the pairs need to be returned. Okay, we're going to stop here. Let's see, possibly one more question. TA 22. Halvo sedeh habirmale im iata naisili mekan bad shaloshanim hari shali be'eza pluta toya I kaina olo umatel kuli ama kaina. So as we said, it's totally on whether a smachta is kaina, and if you say machshav, then you are kaina. Also, if you're kapid ba'ara, so then you're also going to be kaina in that case. So that's TA 22. Okay. Good. TB 23. Madua in Chazeres Oina Kusher of Nachman, the Savar Gabal Keach, Davar Shulabal Oil Beachad Machil Batais Machilhi. So I wrote Krab Yosi Shisavar Smachta Kanya, or Hu Oimer Achshav. Adkan.